Hi, I'm Max Lipschutz.
Hi, I'm Cameron Matthew. I'm Taylor Pope.
Frank McDonald.
Today we're going down to the Wells Cathedral clock. It's housed in the Science Museum of London. It's right down the street. It's going to be awesome. Come check it out with us.
The Wells Cathedral clock is the world's oldest continuing working mechanical clock and the second oldest surviving clock in England. In 1388, the Bishop of Salisbury, Ralph Eargham, moved from Salisbury to Wells, where he and his clockmakers constructed a clock almost identical to the Salisbury Cathedral clock, but with minor improvements. The Wells Cathedral clock was believed to be built in 1392 and was in use at Wells until 1835, where it was moved to London and eventually placed in the Science Museum in 1884. The clock was wound by hand for 630 years, and since 1919 the clock has been wounded by 5 generations of the Fisher family. August 23, 2010, Paul Fisher announced his retirement and wound the clock for the last time. The clock was replaced by an electric motor and it continues to run in the Science Museum.
In the 1600s, the original horizontal swimming beam mechanism called foliate balance was replaced by a pendulum and anchor escapement to improve timekeeping. The clock also drove display at automatica figures which can be seen at the Wells every 15 minutes. I can see the pulley mechanism. That's the 250 kilogram weights that the Fisher family had to wind up 800 times per time, and then it was 3 times a week that they had to do it. And the mechanism was replaced twice, most recently in 1880. The face and figures date back to the 14th century.
Okay, so right now we're going to talk about the dials of the Wells Cathedral clock. Unfortunately, the Wells Cathedral clock is located in Wells Cathedral, which is about halfway across England, a little out of our budget, so we're going to look at some computer screens of it. This is the interior face of the clock. The first thing to notice is that it's Roman numeraled 1 through 12 twice, so it's a 24-hour clock. Now, this over here is the hour hand, and that's the sun. When the sun reaches the highest point, it's noon, which mimics real life, which is when the sun is at the highest point of the day. This inner circle right here is the minute clock, and that is counted by a little star. Now, this inner circle right here is numbered 1 through 30. And what that is, it's a moon calendar. This is an astronomical clock, so it displays the phases of the moon and its rotation around the earth. This black plate right here represents a completely full moon, and that'll change over time. A white plate will slide representing the different phases of the moon. This over here is the Greek Titan Phoebe, who represents the moon. And this dot right here is representative of the earth, which is surrounded by a sea of clouds. Now, these around here are 4 angels holding what are known as the 4 canonical winds, which represent the directions north, south, east, and west. And if you notice, this represents a geocentric view of the universe that they held in the ancient times. This is the sun out here, and it's shown hovering around the earth, as is the moon.
Okay, I'm going to be discussing the exterior of the clock. So the dial proposes a model of the universe against a background of the stars of the sun, and basically it moves in a circular direction. In the corners are 4 angles that hold the 4 cardinal winds, which may in fact be generating the power that makes the universe operate, as said. The minutes on the clock are indicated by a smaller star on the ring that's actually inside. At the center of the dial there is a ball, which actually represents Earth, which is pretty interesting. And lastly, above the clock, as you can see, there are 2 figures, one of which is known as Jack Blandifers, who actually hits the bell with a hammer, And after he does that, a set of knights charge after him about every 15 minutes. So it's quite something to see.